I mean, Queensland has, I think it's about 9,500 apprentices and only 8 or 9% are female. There's still mentalities and messages around, if you can't do what he can do, you shouldn't be here. We need employers on board to understand the role that they play and how important that role is. I think society has changed. It's continuing to change and evolve. And words like diversity and inclusion are not just buzzwords. Each of the apprentices that get involved, we want to see them complete their apprenticeship and be happy doing it.
So, Michelle, we know that women are not well represented within the workshop. Some very small percentage. So, do we know why that is? Have you got anything to explain why that should be?
I'm sure that there's lots of reasons to it. For me, I look at it and think it's quite a layered problem. You've got those that enter trades to start with, right? Why do they do it? Where are they encouraged to do it? People are heavily influenced by their peers, their families, and school leavers in particular, the schools that they go to. So are they encouraging trade, automotive trade in particular, as a pathway? Or is it a school that heavily promotes university as a pathway? I think, at least from my time at school, which is a while ago, there's more promotion of trades to school students, but there could be a lot more. There are still schools that really don't talk much about it and focus on uni. So that's sort of the first one that affects, everybody. But then the next layer to me for women is the stereotypes and the norms of where they may belong. So I think there's still a lot of messaging around their place in a male-dominated space. And so if you get them to break through those first two barriers, you've already lost a large amount of talent who can't sort of see through those things to start with. And that's why the numbers are so low. I mean, Queensland has, I think it's about 9,500 apprentices and only 8 or 9% are female.
Wow.
So you've got a really low number to start with once they're in.
Yeah.
And then once they get in there, there are other barriers that then create large dropout rates for them. You've got them in the workplace that maybe isn't as ready or hasn't made the change that it needs to make to create that environment for them to thrive. There's still mentalities and messages around, if you can't do what he can do, you shouldn't be here, which is just insane.
It's painful to hear that.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. So all of those things have an impact on the numbers, where they start from and where they end. But I also think that there's a lot of internal barriers for women. You've got messages that we get as young girls coming up about traits and behaviours that are appropriate for them. So don't be too ambitious and don't be too outspoken, because those are the things that get you called bossy or controlling. So we internalise these messages and they form a big part of how we view ourselves in our lives and in our careers. So all of these things have an impact and drive that low number, I think.
Right. Okay, so there's plenty there to tackle. So tell me about this Women in Automotive Apprenticeships Mentorship Program. So aimed at supporting first and second year apprentices. Why the focus on that group? And tell us more about that program.
Yeah, I mean, the program itself came through these really high non-completion rates for females in male-dominated spaces. And the idea is to tackle things like that, the hows of it, the whys of it. And it is targeted at the first and second years, mostly because they're at the most risk of not completing. They're fresh into it. And if they are having these struggles, whether it be an internal struggle, not sure of the career pathway in it, the workplace they're in, they're not sure how to speak up, or whatever their struggle may be, if they're new into the apprenticeship, they haven't quite reached halfway, it's very easy for them to sort of say, oh, this isn't for me then, and pull out, not seeing that there's change, not being made aware that, there's opportunities to fix this. In saying that, third and fourth years, if they are experiencing some sort of struggle or confusion, or they just want more information on their careers, they're more than welcome to reach out through the program, and we'll assist them through other initiatives at MTAQ. But yeah, the focus is particularly for this program, the first and second year apprentices. So yeah.
And sorry, just say again, and that's because the fall off rate amongst that cohort is particularly high.
Yeah. If they do, most of the non-completions are from within the first and second year.
Yeah. Okay. So what does the mentorship program do to support them? What are the actions? What's the strategies that you put in place?
The strategy is really a targeted one-on-one mentoring support. So we have mentors that are from within the industry that make contact with the apprentices, get to know them, build a relationship, and listen to them, hear how they're feeling. Are they enjoying their apprenticeship?
Yeah.
And if they are, great. Why? What makes it enjoyable for you? And can we replicate that?
Yeah.
And if they're not, why? And what are the elements to that? And can we help with some of those elements? Can we give you resources and information and confidence and all the things that go into it? So yeah, it's a one-on-one approach. In saying that, we will have opportunities for them to all get together as well. We want to host different webinars and events and get them to network as much as possible. The webinars really are going to be a targeted topic or piece of education for them. So we're looking at, if it is a workplace issue that maybe you want to have a conversation with your employer or a colleague, but you're not too sure how to handle that and you're not sure if it's going to be a tough conversation or not, we want to have a webinar around those tough conversations, how to say what you need and why it's important that you do, and everything down to financial and superannuation education. Because particularly the first and second years, if they are school leavers, first full-time wage, it's good early to understand what that means and how do you look after yourself financially, and how do you, what are the differences for you and your super now that you're in the workforce? Yeah. And those little pieces like that they may not have been really told about.
So a pretty broad scope of
I think across, so. Yeah. We'll adapt it as we need. If we're finding common themes that the apprentices are going through, we'll target a webinar based on that.
So who are the mentors? I mean, where do you find those people and who are they?
Yeah, we're so lucky. We've partnered with Busy Sisters.
Right.
So they're our mentors on the ground.
Uh-huh.
They're from the industry. They have the experience. They're not just experienced in the industry, but they're experienced as mentors. Yes. They have a history of that and they know what they're doing and how to help. So yeah, it's pretty exciting.
So you'll have to just remind me, Busy Sisters are...
they're an organisation that support women in male-dominated spaces in general. So they're very experienced across all industries, and we've managed to grab them, sort of tie on to them to help with the automotive side of it. Okay.
So this is obviously statewide. Mm-hmm. So mentors are statewide too? They've got,
Yeah, so at the moment we've got Brisbane, and we've actually got Far North Queensland coming on board as well. And again, we've got the ability to expand it. It's all going to, as we grow the program, where are the trends, where are the pockets of apprentices that need that support, and where can we redistribute resources to make sure we're providing that targeted response.
I suppose we should mention really that this is a Queensland Government-backed sort of project, right?
Yes.
So it's part of a wider ambition of the Queensland Government to get these sort of things rolling.
Yeah, it's part of their Women in Trades Mentoring Program, which came from, as I said, there was a report around the non-completions, and there's a high non-completion rate for women in male-dominated apprenticeships. And so their program is targeting 4 of the main industries of construction, manufacturing, electrical, and automotive. So we're running the automotive side of it.
Yeah, fantastic. Okay. So I can see how this would be very appealing to young apprentices who are looking for support. But I imagine, given the trouble that employers are having in finding staff, that they'd appreciate this sort of project too. So how do they get involved?
Oh, we want them to be, that's for sure. Course, yeah, I mean, they're an important part of it. The mentoring to apprentices is, it's really only half the solution. We need employers on board to understand the role that they play and how important that role is. Yeah. So yeah, we definitely want employers involved. We do the program, as well as mentoring the apprentices, will be supporting businesses as well to I mean, we want to hear from businesses that have they've done this, they've created that workplace, and it's worked for them. And we want to hear those success stories and how and the why as that shared learning to others. And then those employers that they want to do it, but they're not really sure where to start. Maybe they're a small business and they really only have a small team. So how do they implement some kind of change like that? We want to hear from all of them, and we have the resources and, again, the capability to help them. So yeah, it's a really important part of it for sure.
So it's early days in the project, right? So it's launched just a couple of months ago. Is that right?
A couple of weeks.
A couple of weeks, right?
Yeah, it's
okay,
only been
crikey.
on a couple of weeks.
Okay,
yeah.
so, but the reaction to the program so far, my understanding is that already there's been quite a bit of interest.
Yeah. It's crazy. The first week we had 30 apprentices reach out to us once it launched, which I think I was overwhelmed by that. I don't know what number I expected in the first week, but it certainly wasn't that high. And so, really, really encouraging. And I think it goes to show the need for this program.
Yeah.
You know, they've come to us and they're saying, hey, we really want to talk. We just want to ask some questions. We need some support.
Yeah.
30 was really great in the first 7 days. But even more encouraging, really, was 9 employers have come to us as well already. And again, that's just in the first week. So,
and are these all over the state?
Yeah, all over the state. A mixture of employers that have female apprentices that just want to learn a bit more about the program so that they can recommend it, because it's something that they would like to see happen for their apprentices, which I think is another really cool thing. I mean, if an employer, they might be trying to support this apprentice and help them, but they're recognizing that there might need to be more relatable support. So to take the step to call us and ask some questions, I thought was pretty cool. And some are based up in those regional areas that have that experience themselves already in doing it and have offered their help and their support to be a part of it. So really encouraging response.
Yeah, it's an encouraging response, but it does feel like, okay, so clearly there's been an issue and people have been hanging out for something like this, right?
Yeah.
They've really needed this.
Yeah.
Does that how it feels to you? Because that's just hearing that.
That's definitely how it feels from that response, which is it's interesting because this space is quite a busy space in that there are a lot of programs around women in industry, women in trade. I mean, if you just sort of go online, especially when I started the program, I started to look at what everyone else was doing and what else is there. And there's actually a lot there. But it goes to show that it's still not enough. You know, the numbers are still low. The people reaching out wanting support are high. There's still, as much as there is in this space, there's a huge thirst for it as well, for more. Yeah.
So the project's been running a short time. The response has been brilliant so far. What's the ultimate goal? What's the aim ultimately for this, to get every young female apprentice into the program, support them all the way, get them having long and successful careers? I guess obviously that's the ultimate goal, but are there goal steps that you're looking at that equal success for the project?
Yeah, look, I think long term is equal representation in the industry, but we're so far from that is a long goal. For this program, we want to see each of the apprentices that get involved, we want to see them complete their apprenticeship and be happy doing it, you know, and then to stay within the industry. So it's recruiting and retaining is the ultimate goal of it. We want to get to 200 apprentices, which I think if 30 in the first week is what happens, I'm optimistic about getting to 200 and then some. But that's sort of the short and long term of it, I think.
Okay. And how long is the project actually scheduled to run? Is there a deadline, or is it just a...
At this stage, it'll run through to September 2025.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. So the apprentices hit their second year, they get into their third year. I'm sure that the support doesn't stop at that point. So beyond that, where can they go for the support that they might still need?
All of the apprentices that do get involved in the program, we introduced to Automotive Women, which is another initiative that MTAQ run, started a few years ago, which is just all women in the industry, and it's a network for them. It's an initiative to increase that representation, again, build that network, offer career pathways and education, very similar to what that this program is doing, but to a broader all women of the industry. So yeah, everybody that participates will be introduced to it throughout the program and encouraged to join that at the end to keep that ongoing support. And likewise, as I said earlier, with the 3rd and 4th year apprentices, if they're seeing this program and going, just missed out, I'm a 3rd year.
Yes.
No. Contact us, get in touch, because we will introduce you to Auto Women. We're not going to say no to you because you're in a 3rd year. We're here to help. This is about the overall industry and all women in it.
Well, look, that brings up the good point about important to all industry. I mean, why is a project like this important? Why should the industry be looking to? I mean, the industry's gone for 100 years with barely any women in the workshop. Why is it suddenly we're going, let's do it. Let's get more women in. I mean, we know the answer, but perhaps you can articulate it better than I.
I think society has changed.
Yeah.
It's continuing to change and evolve. And words like diversity, inclusion are not just buzzwords that are thrown out there. They really mean something. Those workforces, the diverse and inclusive ones, they're here and they are the future. They're going to keep growing. The way we've done things isn't the way we still do things now, because we learn and we grow and we adapt and we evolve and we find new and better ways of doing things. And that's what a diverse workforce does. It brings in new ways of thinking and approaches to the work. There's real value for industry and for businesses to do this. Obviously, the skill shortages is one. But then when you have a workforce that's all thinking differently and embracing the differences rather than butting heads about it, they all start working better and they're coming up with new ideas and they're becoming innovative and creative and more productive and, the real value for businesses. And not to mention the customer base that a business can expand with as well when you have that workforce that's diverse.
I mean, diverse, we are talking with this project and we are talking about women, but actually we can expand that to include any number of sort of minority groups, and can't we?
Yeah, absolutely. The traditional method of recruiting or person that you go for in your recruiting, it's just expanding on that. Yeah. It's not ignoring it and changing it. That's been great, but let's go that and this and add it together. Yeah.
Okay. So look, an apprentice hears about this program, an employer hears about this program. What's their step if they want to get involved? How do they do so?
On the MTAQ website, if you go under Workforce Solutions, there's the Women in Automotive Trade program, and there's just a form there, an email address even. Just click that, fill it out, and we'll be in touch with you fairly quickly.
Fairly quickly.
Yeah, I've got some goals on reaching out to them very quickly because it's important that they are contacted to understand what they need. Yeah,
great. All right, well, look, that's terrific. Now, I'm not going to let you go without asking just a couple of questions totally unrelated to our conversation so far. Firstly, I need to ask you, what car do you currently drive?
I've got a Mazda CX-30.
CX-30, okay. Pretty new.
Yeah, about 4 years old now, 2020 I think I got it. Yeah.
Okay. Well, it's a nice car, but if money were no object, what car would you have?
I think, it's going to be such a boring answer,
Please,
truly.
No, please no.
No, okay. Probably a Mercedes G-Wagon.
Right.
But I say that having never been in one or driven one, so I just like the look of it.
Okay. All right.
Completely ignorant response, but yeah, I like the look of it.
That's fair enough. I mean, it's a very nice car. Okay. Michelle, thank you so much for being on the Motoring Chronicles. Really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me. Thank you.
Great.